What's up everybody, I'm Jesse Showalter, and in this episode, I'm gonna share with you my top 5 tips for how to use color in your UI design projects, because color is tricky, but also very important. Don't mess it up. It's a big deal. All right, the first step in applying color inside of your UI design projects is to understand color theory. Color has meaning, color has purpose, and although it might have a slightly different meaning sometimes to different cultures, societies, or countries, there's a lot of color theory that just makes sense. The color blue can represent calmness and trust and peace and assurance. The color purple can represent royalty or creativity. The color red is very synonymous with passion and anger or alerts or emergencies. So what's all this color theory mean? How do you actually use it? Well, apply the correct color theory to match the emotion of the brand or of the interface that you're building. That means if you're building a website or an interface for maybe some sort of organic product, don't use a lot of red, black, and white. That's very aggressive. Whereas if you're building a sports brand, you might not want to use really soft, subtle greens and blues. You might want to use something that's a little bit more, sporty. Tip number 2 is to study the color wheel. Know all the different ways that you can come up with color combinations using that basic color wheel. You got your complementary, you got your monochromatic, you got your analogous, you got your triadic. Know how all of these color combinations go together, and then start building really cohesive color palettes to use inside of your projects. A little bonus tip, once you've created a color palette based off the color wheel, if you want to make all of those colors feel just a little bit more synonymous, pick a color, lay it over every single thing in your palette, set one of the blending modes so that you can see through it, and then change the transparency. It'll bring some sort of consistent look and feel to all of your colors in your palette. Tip number 3 is really easy. Know your target audience and know your demographic. Is this interface that you're designing built mainly for men or for women or for children? Is it for people who are of older age or younger age? Who is it for? Make sure you are applying colors that make sense for that target demographic or that audience. This is why when you look at applications or interfaces that are made for children, they're usually way more colorful. They have more than 1 or 2 colors. They have lots of colors. They're an explosion of colors because kids are an explosion of excitement, energy, and imagination. So all that being said, different audiences like different colors, and the different use of those colors, make sure that you're applying them properly. Tip number 4 is to make sure that your contrast is on point. This means body copy on background has to have good contrast, so it's legible, so that it's readable, so that it's understandable. This means that typography needs to not only stand out, but it has to have the correct weight and color and size applied so that you can actually see things. If your button looks like everything else, and therefore people don't know how to tap your button because the contrast is bad, you need to bump up that contrast. To check your contrast, desaturate your entire project and turn everything to grayscale to see if those different elements actually stand out from each other. This is really good for accessibility, and it's just good for your interfaces in general. The last tip on the list is to use the 60-30-10 rule. This means that 60% of your interface at all times should be your base neutral color. Maybe it's a white, an off-white, a neutral gray, or a cream. 60% should be that color. If you have a dark interface, that means 60% should be whatever that dark color is. Next, it means that 30% should be your main primary color. It shouldn't overwhelm the interface. It should be there. It should denote importance and value, and it should be around 30% of your interface. The last 10% should be dedicated to your accent color. This is call to actions and links. This is where you desperately need to guide the user and get them where they need to go. Use your accent color sparingly and specifically for those purposes in the 60-30-10 rule. Well, that's it. Those are my top 5 tips on how to use color inside of your UI design projects. There's lots of different things you can do. Color is a vast topic, and we're just scratching the surface. If you want to know more about color, sign up for my newsletter where I share tips and tricks each and every month about design-related topics just like this one. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I do tons of video content about design and development and color just like this one, so maybe stick around. And if you're interested in getting your hands on design files, extra content behind the scenes, consider becoming a member by hitting that little join button down below. I hope you guys are having an amazing week. I hope you're designing amazing things. I hope you're making amazing things. And I hope that you're using color to its fullest potential and having fun with it. I'll see you in the next one.